Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I love meeting interesting new entrepreneurs and fascinating companies, and I had the privilege last week at a pitch night of a bunch of different venture capital oriented companies to meet one gentleman. Luka Lamaj is his name, and he is the co-founder and CEO of Dossier Health. And it's fascinating because he's trying to connect family physicians with people. Luka, welcome to the show.
Brian, it's an absolute honor and pleasure to be in the show with you.
Well, pleasure to chat with you. Tell me a little bit about your opportunity.
Yeah, so everything started when I was at university with my professors. So I'm still an undergraduate student, by the way. I'm a biochemistry student. And when I was in the first and second year of my studies, we did some research papers with our professors, and we found out about the problems or the gaps that public healthcare systems have in general, right? Not only in Canada, but also in Germany, in UK, in France. But we specialized, especially in Canada. And one of the biggest problems, as we all know, and we all boomed the whole crisis like this, especially last year, it was the accessibility of healthcare. And we found a lot of reasons for that. It's a pattern that happens in most of the public healthcare systems, but especially in Canada, what we saw, it was the lack of shortage, the shortage of professionals, the shortage of family doctors. And I can give you some statistics because I really like.
That's interesting because I think it is an issue that a lot of people are very aware of. That it's very difficult to get a family doctor, and that's sort of the gatekeeper to the system.
You know, it's kind of like I treat every problem that I have in life. I treat it like a lab report, like a science report. It has a hypothesis, and we solve that hypothesis. Okay, there are a lot of people that do not have family doctors, but what causes this? What causes this problem? How we can find a solution, and how can we prove this hypothesis that we have for this solution, right? So we tried a lot of things, and in the beginning, I tried a lot of things also myself, but we came to a conclusion that one of the biggest problems, especially with family doctors, is the incentive of money. In 1998, 34% of medical students, so it starts in the medical school, 34% of medical students chose family medicine, 1998. In 2016, only 15% chose the family to become family doctors. In 2019, 5% of all family doctors in Canada left Canada, and they went to US mostly. And there's around 509 family doctors left.
So 5% of all family doctors left Canada to go to the United States
in only 1 year, in 2019. That's the last statistic that we have about that, and it's sad, and we don't have that luxury to lose so many family doctors and Canadian patients.
It's astounding that we're going to educate them and pay for their education primarily. Through publicly funded universities and medical schools and things like that, though they pay some tuition, and that we lose them.
Exactly, and that's the sad part. And let's go to the psychosis of the whole why this happens, right? On a mind of a medical student, so okay, you finish family medicine and you get the job, right? You have your own salary. And the average salary for a family doctor in Canada is around $150,000 when they come out of university, right? Which is not bad. But when you think about it, the dermatologist is paid $250,000 on average. So in the mind of that medical student, he says, or he or she says, you know what? I just do 2 years more of school, and I'll just become a dermatologist and paid more and have a higher social status. So this is kind of what works and what we found out from all this empirical statistic, right? And we created a platform when Shopify meets Fiverr in primary healthcare. So family doctors can go through our platform and make more money, except their 9 to 5 or their primary job that they're in the hospital or in their clinics. But this is more like an empowering their individual family doctors and medical students that just came out of the school to maximize their profits and reduce their costs and their time and their efficiency, because we help them manage their virtual clinic. So we help them create a virtual clinic and manage them by managing the financials, managing the the knowledge, the marketing, the branding, whatever, everything that has a whole clinic, a physical clinic, we put them online.
So this is a portal that connects family doctors with people looking for family doctors?
It's more like a marketplace. Look at like this, like at least the business model is more like in the marketplace business model. Look at like this. It's a patient side and it's the family doctor side, right? So we focus on family doctors first to build the supply, and we ask them, hey, pay us a fee, and we put you to the platform. We take care of everything from your assistant to your financials. Very, very cheap fee compared to whatever other option is there in the market. And so the patients is free in the end of the day because patients of Canada, they have free healthcare system. So they just go to the portal, to this platform, and they find a family doctor if they want to. But this is the key. We provide consistent care with this family doctor because we believe, just for another statistic, a family doctor for a virtual consultation, like me and you, for example, are doing right now, they are paid around $75 a consultation with a cap of 40 visits a day. 40 visits a day is a lot of visits to do in a day, especially virtually. So when a family doctor goes to the platform, they are paid for every consultation that they do, right? So in the end of the day, for them to maximize their profits and maybe even double their salary, they don't need 100 patients. They just need 5 consistent patients. So a lot of patients, we found out during our trials, clinical trials, a lot of patients need consistent care, especially the patients that have chronic diseases, for example. They have hypertension, diabetes. They need a lot of consistent care and just checkups, regular checkups with the doctor. This is something that the existing healthcare system in Canada doesn't necessarily offer that easy, right? So this is why we concentrate on consistent care with these family doctors.
Now,
So you
a
just
lot
go,
of
yeah.
family physician clinics have gone to virtual checkups
Yeah.
and meetings and things like this. So why can't the regular system just do this? Why do you have to come up with some new system?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. That's a lot of companies actually have done this kind of like virtual consultations, and one of them is, I don't know, Maple, Teladoc, a lot of companies, but their focus is mostly in working with health insurance companies or working with big clinics and big hospitals. While in my goal and our company's goal is to focus on an individual family doctor. So Brian comes out of university, he doesn't know what to do. He just had his job in a clinic. He's not the owner of the clinic, though, right? He's not the business guy behind it. So we kind of try to create entrepreneurs out of family doctors. This is like our goal. We focus on the individual, not on the big clinic, on the big hospital.
It's fascinating. How many doctors have you got signed up?
170.
And how many patients?
There are around 140 patients that we are using the platform right now, but it's still, this is only made in only 6 months. So it's a very, very new platform, and we just created like something very quick, and we've launched it to the public.
And what's the name of the platform?
Docere, Docere. Which means yes. Also, thank you for giving me the opportunity to kind of explain that, because Docere is a very hard name to pronounce and it's very hard to understand it. But this came when I was reading the book of Plato, Republic, and he mentions one of his like theories. It was also the healthcare system. How can we change it or whatever in the ancient Greece? And he mentions a word, docere, that means doctor. And I was like, okay, that's a very, very interesting name. And this is how I came up with a whole name, and I put it into the platform, and it symbolizes the symbol of the doctor.
So it's doctor in Greek?
Exactly. In Latin, actually, it's not even in Greek, it's in Latin. But in the perspective of the time, ancient Greece and ancient Greek and Latin language had a lot of things in common. So usually the writers used to write half in Latin, half in ancient Greek. So yeah, I mean,
and if people want to go check it out today, what website would they go to?
So they should go to Docere app. So DOCERE app.com.
DOCERE.
So the name of the company, app.com. And we are still in the kind of like a private beta. but we're launched very quick with another website for the whole public. But if you go to the website right now and you request a demo, we can send the demo for you and we can talk immediately with a family doctor.
Awesome. And you're also doing a public, you're doing a raise from a VC standpoint, a venture capital standpoint as well.
So yeah, thank you so much also for that. I mean, we just started raising a pre-seed round, and I've experimented with a lot of ways that we can raise, starting from a point of crowdfunding maybe, which is very good for us because also doctors can invest in us through the crowdfunding source. We have talked with a lot of venture capital firms. One of them was yesterday actually, and unfortunately, right now is the worst time to raise for every startup, especially a healthcare startup that needs a lot of clinical trials and a lot of experience to kind of raise a lot of money, right? But I believe that our traction and our hypothesis, it's kind of tested. So I'm very confident on it, even though a lot of Canadian, and this is also another problem that I wanted to touch, that a lot of Canadian VC firms and a lot of Canadian early stage VC firms, they are not that, I would say, they're not that happy with investing right now, especially these times. Different from a US VC firm. And what this causes, it's a break in the whole startup ecosystem in Canada, right? Because Canadian startups are raising from US VCs. So this is not like the natural, organic, kind of like effect on the startup ecosystem when a startup is created in Toronto and it has investment from Toronto or from Montreal or from Vancouver. So this is kind of like also
we got to do a better job of venture capital in Canada. Is your other point?
It's my point, yeah, that I wanted to come up.
Well, we're going to take a break for some messages and come back and talk a little bit a bit more about your website, your app, your business, and also about your raise and VC in Canada. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be back in just 2 minutes with a fascinating entrepreneur who's launched a portal, an app that connects family physicians with people that are in need of some healthcare advice. Stay with us. Interesting conversation, and it's a real issue in Canada today. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. My guest today is Luka Lamaj, who is the founder and CEO of a fascinating company that is in the business of connecting family doctors, primarily newly graduated family doctors, with people that are looking for healthcare. And Luka Lamaj, who is as I mentioned, the co-founder and CEO of Docere,
Docere,
which is DOCERE, which is doctor in Latin, Docere Health. He's launched this website, this app, to connect family physicians with people needing healthcare, and he sees it as a real need within the Canadian healthcare system. And I think a lot of us realize that family physicians are a real scarce commodity in Canada, and so therefore a problem that Luka is solving that could be really wonderful for all of us. Luka, you say you're an undergraduate student right now. You're studying biomedicine, biochemistry. What brilliant light bulb came up in your head to decide that this was a great opportunity that needed solving?
That's a very good question. I mean, as I said, it came from the whole research perspective that I did. And I believe this was a little easier for me because when you come from a research perspective, you are also convinced that, hey, this works. Also, I am an immigrant here in Canada. And when I came here, I didn't know much about healthcare system. I'm originally from Albania, and I didn't know how it works here. It's completely different healthcare system there. And in order for me to understand, I always been fascinated. I always been wanting to analyze the healthcare systems of the world. I didn't recently. I did also for my company a research on, for example, UAE's healthcare system, which is very interesting because they boost innovation. So much innovation, like robotics and surgery, et cetera, because they want to compete kind of with the Silicon Valley, mindset. And from that research perspective that I had, I said, okay, you know what? Let's commercialize this and let's make this happen. And why not? Let's create a platform. In the beginning, it was very simple, Brian. It was kind of like every other telemedicine company, every other virtual consultation company. Let's just create a platform when family doctors and patients can just go there and they meet each other. But I didn't know actually how would I do that and what would be my differentiation and my niche in this market, right? So we did a lot of iteration. We tested a lot. I tested in the beginning of patients actually paying the platform, but that would come when I talked with one of my mentors. He was like, "But why would patients pay for healthcare in Canada when it's free, right? Why would they use your platform, even though it would be way more accessible, but still nobody would pay. No Canadian patient would pay for that when they have it for free. They would rather wait." So this is why we tested a lot. We did a lot of A/B testing, and we came up to the conclusion that, hey, this is the best way of solving this problem, the problem of shortage of professionals. At least in the long term, we're going to see a very, very interesting numbers in the Canadian medical system, but also in Canadian medical school systems. So yeah, going back to your question, why me? Why did I start while I'm still a student? You know, I'm always been this kind comes a little to my personality as an entrepreneur. I've always been very stubborn person, and if I want to do something, I'm going to do it, and there's no question about it. I'm going to sacrifice everything if I really want to do something. And it brings me to a beautiful quote that I read from Khalil Gibran, that is a Lebanese writer, and he says, "Rest in reason and move in passion." You know,
Hold it. That sounds interesting. Rest in reason,
and move in passion. So be aggressive in passion, but also hold yourself when it comes to reason. You know, this is kind of my philosophy and my whole perspective of life, right? Like, okay, we're gonna do something. I'm gonna be super aggressive about it. But does it make sense?
Launching a business when you're still a undergraduate doesn't sound like you rested very long, buddy.
Yeah, I was very aggressive at the time. I was very aggressive.
So what about the technology? How did you develop the technology? Did you do it yourself? Did you hire people? Did you contract it out? What?
That's a very good question also. And this is also kind of a problem with every early stage company and every business in the beginning, especially in the tech space. How do you do it? How do you build a product? It comes to a lot of answers that I'm going back to the time when I did it. It was a very big dilemma. Should I hire just people or get a co-founder? Fortunately enough, I found a very good co-founder in the beginning. Now we are three co-founders. Ervis, and Kevin. We are all three Albanians. And Ervis at the time, he was working with Mercedes-Benz in the AR department, augmented reality department, virtual reality. And he's a master in virtual reality and 3D animations and all things like that. And when we talked with Ervis, we kind of thought, hey, how are we going to build like at least an MVP, or how are we going to build a small version, a prototype of the thing, right? And we brainstormed a lot. And then, yeah, we created it. It was very simple, and it's still not anything crazy and not what we visioned to do, but it's way better than it was in the beginning. And our plan is, and we're starting right now with this kind of plan, as I said, because Ervis, my co-founder, my CTO, he's a master in 3D animations. We're trying to put 3D animations also while you're on the call with the doctor. So what I mean by that, while you're on the call with the doctor just presses some templates that we create for them, and it shows to you what's going on with your body and what's going on with for example, with your heart, with your brain, with your stomach, if you have, for example, or with your lungs, if you start smoking. This gives a better understanding from the patient's point of view of what's going on with their body, and they understand what the doctor is saying. How many times we go to the doctor and we don't understand what he's saying because he speaks in scientific language, and we're like okay, I don't know what that means, right? So this kind of breaks that language barrier between doctors and patients. And me as an immigrant in the beginning, it was very hard for me to speak English. And when I went to the doctor, some of the words that he was saying, I didn't really understand it. So this is kind of this. That's also one of the technological innovations that we're bringing to the market.
So let me ask you to take a step back.
Of
And
course.
let's analyze use your scientific method to analyze the problem here. So the problem is that we've got a shortage of connections between family physicians and people that are in need of family physicians, in need of primary health care. What's the cause of this? Is it because we've got this new technology that you're making use of, which is the internet? And I think that we found that it's pretty productive in a lot of other areas, whether it be ordering products from Amazon or from clothing stores, or for buying plane tickets, or even during COVID, we had court hearings on Zoom, and we had doctor visits on Zoom or some sort of virtual technique. And so therefore the hanging around the waiting room for hours on end and waiting to see a doctor was sort of solved to a certain extent by a more efficient system of not when you actually needed to actually see the person live, but when you could just talk to them and diagnose them. And I remember I had a hand doctor that I talked to, and all he did is hold my hand up and then took some pictures and sent the pictures to the physician. I didn't actually need to see them in person. I was astounded that they could actually make a diagnosis based on that. So that's one issue, is that the technology has improved. The second issue is maybe we're just paying them too little, and that's why 5% of them are going to the United States. A third issue would be, well, we're always going to lose some people. We have brain drain in every segment of society. Are we just not graduating enough, allowing enough into our medical schools, or allowing enough people from Albania that have got doctors' designations to come and get requalified and practice medicine? Or do we have a mismatch between where people are and where the doctors are, remote physicians? So as you go through all the potential solutions, what do you think the cause of the issue is?
I mean, there are a lot of causes. There's not only one thing that I can say, hey, this caused the whole healthcare crisis in Canada. But the biggest one, it's, as you said, you explained it very good, actually. It's less medical students that choosing family medicine, more population coming from immigration and coming from productivity of people. So the population is raising and the family doctors are decreasing, right? So a lot of these clinics, a lot of hospitals, they are they're here with patients. They're up to here. So I mean, this is one of the problems that we are attacking right now. Lack of professionals, lack of family doctors, lack of medical students choosing family medicine because they're not paid enough. This is kind of like in very, very short description, this is what we're attacking. Lack
But
of
if more and more physicians get in dermatology as your one example, or other things, then there's going to be an oversupply of specialists, and they won't be busy enough, and the price will come down.
Of specialists, you mean?
Yeah, if more and more physicians choose to become specialists over time, basic supply and demand economics would suggest that there's an oversupply of specialists, and they're going to be hanging around half the day, and they're not going to be working, and so therefore they're not going to make as much money, and so therefore the salaries that they earn, the fees that they can charge, will go down, and then they'll choose other specialties or go back to family work.
Yes, that's also one of the kind of hypotheses, but also a lot of them also might leave Canada, the specialists, right? I mean, they might go again. They might go to US, they might go to UK, they might go to France, and then go to Germany, and still they're going to be at the same point. And also for that to happen, Brian, is going to be the problem is that it's going to be a very long term for that to happen. It's going to be years and years and years. Well, patients are dying. Like, I don't want to be like that cliche that use our platform because patients are dying. But in Newfoundland and Labrador, someone died. He had diabetes, and he couldn't find a family doctor. See, he died because of that. In Quebec, 2 people died again. It was like it's like, what world are we living in? What country are we living in?
So if you were the Minister of Health or the Prime Minister, and you could wave a wand or pass a bill and solve the problem, other than launch your app,
yes,
what you're saying is let more people into medical school.
Incentive of students finding more ways to become family doctors, because it goes like a chain, right? It starts with primary care and then goes to the specialists. And when I say primary care, I don't mean only family doctors, right? I mean also nurses. We have also a lack of shortage of nurses lately. I don't know, like the whole system of primary care is in crisis right now. People are not just, they don't want to choose it because, as I said, it's very low social status, not enough money, and a lot of work at the same time, right? So this is kind of the thing. And if I was the Minister of Health, I don't want like I don't care, to be honest with you. I don't care about politics at all. But if I was, for sure, I would at least boost innovation and let innovation happen. Now, when I say innovation happen, innovation through a lot of course, clinical trials, like we did, the same process as we went through, and a lot of good healthcare companies go through. The clinical trials, the hypothesis, the test of that hypothesis, and being very sure that this platform doesn't cause any problems. But right now, to create the technology, a health tech company in Canada, it's hard. It's very hard because of the regulations, right? And also the lack of funding, that is the biggest one. Because regulation, okay, I understand from the point of view of an entrepreneur and from the point of view of an innovator. I understand that only good companies should exist in healthcare, only the ones that are worth it. But from a lack of funding, and go back to the whole ecosystem problem, lack of funding, it's a problem, and it's like a disadvantage from all point of views for every entrepreneur, doctor, whatever that wants to create something in healthcare and wants to change the healthcare in Canada.
We're chatting tonight with Luka Lamaj, is that correct?
Yes.
Who is the CEO and founder of a fascinating company that is launched a website and app that connects family physicians with people looking for family doctors. The company's name is Docere, Docere Health, Docere Health. Docere is Latin for doctor. You can go and check it out by going to docere.com, docere.com, and he's in beta testing right now. And check it out. And when are you going to be launching your final version, do you think?
We believe from our, and when I talk with Ervis, with my CTO, we believe that it's going to be launched in middle of March, in mid-March.
Pretty soon. Sounds like it's time to check it out.
And
he's also raising money right now in a VC, a venture capital round. And maybe we're going to take a break and come back and talk a little bit more about his technology and a little bit more about raising money as a VC in Canada, because that's also a fascinating conversation. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. We're chatting tonight with Luka Lamaj. He is the co-founder and CEO of Docere Health, Docere Health. It's a fascinating website app that he has launched that connects primary care physicians, family physicians with people needing primary healthcare. And he's still in undergraduate, and he's launched this app. It's now in beta, and it's going to be launched in March or April. Live for everyone. And Luka, tell us a little bit about the site we go to.
So yeah, just I was explaining, just go to the docereapp.com. So docereapp.com, and you're gonna see the landing page there. And it's very easy. In the first you see all the description of my company here. To kind of understand more what we're doing. If you, for example, if you just came to the show and you didn't listen to what I said. So this is kind of the whole description and our partners we're working with. And in the first, exactly where you come to the landing page, there is a button here, request demo. And when you press that, it's just gonna show you the whole, like, our email address, my email address, and you can say request demo here, send, and immediately I send you the demo, and you can use it, and you can talk to a family doctor. So awesome. This is like the whole process of at least right now when we are not live, but soon we're gonna go live, and it's gonna be very easy.
So if I requested a demo today and wanted to talk to a family physician, how long would it take me to get connected with a family doctor?
So right now, because there are not a lot of patients, that will be immediately, like in seconds.
In seconds, I'd be able to get to a doctor.
Yes.
And this is a recently graduated doctor?
Mostly, yeah. Mostly, yeah. So someone that doesn't have the a lot of experience, but it also has their license because we do. So this is also a question that came up during our testings and clinical trials. How to make sure that doctors that are using our platform are real doctors or are, I don't know, like they are the adequate doctors to use a platform, right? So we worked with Canadian Medical Association and the whole Ontario for Ontario and Quebec for the Quebec. So they're sub organizations, and we kind of went through a testing process and the whole license that they have when they finish their medical graduate and they're ready when they finish also their residency. And we came up with like kind of like an algorithm that 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 shows which doctors should come and should be part of the platform and which doctors are not ready to become a part of the platform, right? Because there are doctors that have zero experience with patients. So these are not the doctors that we're necessarily looking at.
Yeah. Now, one of the benefits of a family doctor is that you actually go to the same family doctor over time and over repeated business visits, that doctor gets to know you and your health issues. If I come to your website, do I go to the same doctor or do I go to whatever doctor's available?
That's exactly what you got exactly at my point. This is what we are empowering. So we don't exclude you or we don't give you you have to talk with this doctor, but we really push you to stay with one doctor because that doctor knows you better because it's also the human experience, right? Even though the whole documentation part, also with a lot of work from us, we managed to put the documentation, the whole electronic health records to put into the platform. So every doctor with your permission has access to records, to your health records. But it's that human touch, it's that human talk. When you talk to the same doctor, you feel more secure. And what we provide is consistent care. We provide consistent care with these doctors. So the doctor that you're seeing, it has also his incentive is to see you as much as he can. So it has to see you at the same, like for a long period of time with consistent times, once a week, once a month, whatever your problem is.
Can I choose a doctor that has a practice close to where I live, or has a high ranking, or has an interest in special disease states, or like what's my ability to choose the doctor?
So we don't really, as I said, we don't exclude them, but we are not focused on them yet, on targeting like big clinics. So most of it is the last thing that you said. It's like a Shopify, right? You just go there, you find a doctor, you choose a doctor, and he has his own website, he has his own domain. I don't know, Dr. Luka, for example. You go to Dr. Luka and you find out that hey, he's this experience, he has this, he's specialized in this way. He studied here in University of Toronto, for example. He did his residency at UFT. So you can choose him. He is from Toronto, you are from Toronto, you can choose him. So then maybe in the future you can see him also in person. So this is kind of every doctor is going to have it has its own like website, its own domain.
Sounds like a great innovation. I congratulate you for it, and I think I'm gonna test it out and see how it works. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Let's change topics for a couple minutes and talk about actually raising money to get going.
Yes.
You and I met when you made a pitch downtown Toronto to I think it was 8 different companies that were all making the pitch. You only had 3 minutes to make your pitch, and then judges got to ask you questions. Is that the way to raise money?
Funny enough, that's the way to raise money, Brian. VCs and investors in general, not only in Canada, in US, wherever you go, they don't have time. And they don't really, one of the VCs that I met in San Francisco, he told me, you know what, Luka? He's very honest person. You know what, Luka? I don't care what you're doing. I just want the ROI in the end. I just want to make money. So like going very, very short on this, right? So they don't have time, they don't have the patience to listen to you for going hours and hours. They just need a 3 minute speech, maybe a demo of your product. How do you think you're gonna go with this product? How big is gonna be? And yeah, that's if they're convinced from that, they're gonna invest in you. If they're not convinced, they're not gonna invest in you. Now, what happened is with a lot of healthcare kind of startups, it's a little different because with healthcare startups, you also need those clinical trials. So you need to show proof that this actually works and doesn't hurt people, right? And especially what happens after, I don't know if you know the case of Theranos, with Elizabeth Holmes.
No.
that just that so Elizabeth Holmes was she dropped out of Stanford, and she created this thing that this kind of hardware device that if you put your finger there and gets only 1 point of blood from your finger, it can do all of the testings for exactly like it was with the blood test, right? So it does more testings and everything like that, even genetic testing, I think. She said, only with just little bit of blood. This was cost efficient, etc., etc. She called it the Edison box, and she was very famous on Forbes. She went on CNN, whatever, all these things. Investors included Henry Kissinger, included, I don't know, Peter Thiel, like big investors. And what happened was that what she was doing, she was lying about all of that, and it was not true at all what she was saying. Just no one proved it, no one tried it out, right? So after that happened, in the whole VC space and the whole, whole public and customer space, it created that paranoia of like, hey, all healthcare companies have something going on there, so we should try it out before. So this is why it's way long process for healthcare companies to raise money. That, for example, I don't know, a deep tech company or just a tech company, a B2B SaaS, for example. So it's kind of, this is the only difference between us and other companies.
But it'd be the same if you were a mining company or an alternative energy company. People want to check out to make sure that you work, right?
Yeah, that you're not a scam. Like you're not just saying words and nothing is true, right? So because right now it's exactly, we mentioned it also a little before. It's with this internet era and after the dot-com boom, everybody was saying everything they wanted and everything they could, right?
Yeah.
So you cannot like you cannot differentiate who is executed and who is talking.
So tell us a little bit about how much you're raising and how you've done it. You've gone to San Francisco, you've gone to downtown Toronto. Tell us about sort of the process of raising money.
So we just opened our pre-seed round of $500,000 with a safe agreement. The safe agreement is something that Y Combinator created, so it doesn't dilute the equity in the first round, but on the second round, so the seed round, depending from the evaluation of the second investors that come to the company, they also get their percentage back, and also they have a cap, whatever like this. They also defend themselves, of course, but it's a very good agreement for founders to raise money easy. Anyways, so we went to a lot of investors. I'm part of an incubator in Toronto called DMZ that I'm wearing also the t-shirt of. And they also they helped us a lot with investor relations. So just cold intros to investors. And yeah, going back to the point of Canadian investors, especially right now in the whole economical downturn that we're going through, they're not that optimistic. And I want to bring also another quote from Thomas Friedman, the economist, that says, "Pessimists might be right, but optimists change the world." So that's why me personally, I really like U.S. investors, because they're very optimistic to new ideas and to new things that kind of change the world or change our own world or the world that we live in. So, I mean, it's been hard. It's been hard, Brian. Of course, when you are an early stage company, you cannot expect much. Usually, people think that, hey, you should go with your revenue and then raise money, but we had a lot of good investors, so I don't want to just downgrade all Canadian investors, and I can mention some of you if you want me to.
Sure, go ahead.
Ripple Ventures is an amazing venture capital firm that is in Toronto. I don't know, Frameworks is a very good one. Good News Ventures that I talked yesterday, they are very, very good investors. So these are kind of the investors that we've been talked to, and with a lot of them, we're in the due diligence process. We're almost done with a signing of agreement. So it has been good, but without the support of the U.S. investors, the Canadian investors are not going to invest. So this is.
So what have you got? You've got an information memorandum, or a business plan, or a data room, or what are the things that you prepare to provide to investors?
That's very good. That's very good, because we can give also some values to the listeners. So basically, what we did is exactly is the investor data room. And what I mean by data room is nothing crazy. Like, you don't need thousands of documents. You just need founders agreements. So the document that you written down between you and your co-founder, kind of a business model description, kind of like how you're gonna make money, basically. A pitch deck that includes how you're gonna make money, the problem, the solution, uh, the team, what is their experience, and referrals. This is kind of like the pitch deck.
Okay, so let's say that I'm interested, or one of our listeners is interested. What do we do?
So in investing in me,
yeah.
So just contact me, and I'm going to send you this investor data room that includes, as I said, the documents, the whole legal documents, includes the pitch deck, and includes a demo of the product. So this is kind of what the data room consists of, and then from there we can go. And
you're saying that this is a safe round, and so therefore there's not a valuation of the company yet. You're going to wait till the second round to come up with a valuation.
Exactly.
So how do I know what I'm buying?
In early stage companies, it's very hard to kind of understand what is going on with the company. It's a little bit of I don't know, like you need to have your intuition going back on your time. Do you really believe on the founder? Do you really believe on the team? Are the team going to execute whatever happens? Are they going to be there and they're not going to give up whatever happens? And do the business model make sense? Do the financial model make sense? And do they have traction? This is kind of the things that you buy on. So if you have early traction, that makes sense. Kind of they prove their hypothesis, right? Yep. So this is how investors think for early stage, especially like us, that we have only 6 months in the market. So this is kind of how they think and how they invest.
Okay, so if I or someone's interested, we just go to the same Doce app and send you an email, and you'll contact us and let us know how we look about investing. Is that correct?
Or easier than that, just add me on LinkedIn at Luka Lamaj, LukaLamaj, and I respond to everyone that messaged me. So I mean, this would be you are welcome not only for investment but also for questions for the product, for question about startup creating, how to create a startup, and for every question that you need to talk about the healthcare system, like me and Brian did today. So I'm very happy to do that with every one of you.
Luka Lamaj, founder of Doce app, Doce Health. Thanks so much for sharing all of this with us. We're going to take a break and come back with some concluding comments in just 2 minutes. We're going to talk a little bit about the challenge of raising money and what the solutions are there. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. My guest tonight has been Luka Lamaj. He is the co-founder and CEO of Doce Health, DOCERE Health. His website is doceapp.com. Check it out. He's got this app that's in beta right now, and it's going to be launching in a month or two, that is going live, that's connecting family physicians with people in need of family doctors. And it sounds like a huge need. He said that 5% of all family physicians in 2019 left Canada to go to the United States. He thinks that there's not enough people entering family physician work, and that too many of them that become certified as medical doctors, medical practitioners, want to become specialists, not leaving enough people as family doctors. He thinks that we've got too much restrictions on people that come from Albania and other places with medical licenses and educations to come to Canada. We've got too many restrictions, and we're not allowing them to come and practice medicine. So there's a lot of issues that he's identified, but his solution is to connect people up through this app, doceapp.com, and it sounds fascinating. But he's also talked about how he's raising money. Only $500,000 in a safe round, he describes it. He thinks that Americans are more aggressive and less risk averse in raising the money. He's had some challenges in Canada. I saw him at this 3-minute pitch session. I don't know how you raise money in a 3-minute pitch session, but I do think there's an issue here, a really important issue here, that there's a lot of smart people that come up with brilliant ideas in Canada for technology companies. You said that you were part of the DMZ incubator downtown Toronto, and I think that incubator is very helpful. I think that, accelerators like Communitech and things like that in Waterloo are really important. You mentioned about the sort of the venture capital or healthcare ecosystem. What can we do, Luka, to make it easier, better, more efficient, more effective for smart aggressive, optimistic Canadian entrepreneurs like you to raise more money from Canadians?
You know, VCs are like the food for entrepreneurs. They boost and they make the process way, way faster. It doesn't mean that the process is not going to happen, but it just makes it faster. So even if it fails quick and we can iterate quick, right? We can change quick, we can move quick. How do we do that? You know, Brian, it needs a little bit more trust. I've seen people, I know a lot of my friends are investors, are angel investors mostly. They invested in hype. So they invested in a lot of crypto startups that didn't have any value. And they didn't invest in good companies that had value. So they followed the hype and they lost money. And then now they're scared. And from that they lost money because of the hype, they don't invest in the real valuable companies right now. So this is kind of the big problem we are facing, especially in this year after the FTX failure and after a lot of startups like going down and with a recession and everything. So I believe a little bit more trust to valuable companies and a little bit more good due diligence. You said very good. You said very, very interesting point. How can I invest in only 3 minutes, pitch? And this is exactly like, how can you invest in only one meeting? You need months, 2 or 3 months to understand what this person is doing. What are they trying to achieve? And do they have traction? Do they have that mindset to execute? And when you see that, then it's just trust. You should trust the founders. A little bit more trust. We need a little more trust.
I'll give you my conclusion. I think that you're right that too many people were excited by the hype of crypto and Bitcoin and things like that, and I think that was wrong. I think that in the last couple of years, something like 80% or 70% of the Nasdaq was 6 stocks, and
wow.
And to get a dramatic increase in value in those stocks that were already hugely overvalued is very challenging. I think to get a double or a 10-bagger in a company like yours is a lot easier. And so I think that everyone should take a small amount of their money, not all their net worth, but a small amount of their money, find smart, aggressive people like you. Doesn't have to be you, but people like you.
Yes.
And put a little bit of play money down. And I think that if we put a little bit of play money down and some really interesting entrepreneurs went to a couple of those 3-minute pitches, took some risks, we'd all be better off. We'd have a better ecosystem and we'd have a little bit of fun. It's got to be that kind of money that you know you can lose and not negatively impact your lifestyle a lot. So it's got to be play money. But I'd rather have a little play money in Doce Health than I would in crypto right now. Anyway, Luka, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate us. I really appreciate you sharing with us your story. Remind us one last time the website we go to if we want to check your company and your app out.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brian, for inviting me. docerapp.com, so DOCERE app.com. And I want to give only this last quote for investors, for customers, for entrepreneurs. Pessimists are right, optimists change the world.
Pessimists are often right, but optimists are the ones that change the world. Sounds like a good quote to me. Thanks very much. That's our show for tonight. And remind you, everyone, I'm on every Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock on 960 AM. And you can stream me online, either from Brock University or Albania at www.saga960am.ca. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.